me, not to the realized soul. So he is already detached from that.
And the people who have that experience, near death experience, when they leave their body and they go in the other realm, they immediately say, no matter how much pain, surgery के टेबल पे वो लोग है, and or they are drowning or some, जब एक्सीडेंट होता है तभी तो उनको ये एक्सपीरियंस होता
Yes.
है ना. So in this world their body is like in super distress. They say they feel so great. कुछ भी नहीं. Like suddenly, like felt the most beautiful feeling. It's hard for us because हम लोग इतने बंधे हुए हैं ना, जरा सा सर दर्द होता है तो लगता है मरे अभी, like हम लोग कोई कुछ हो रहा है. But actually it is just the body that is. And when the moment we go in deep sleep also, forget about near death experience, you go in deep sleep, everything is disconnected. Whether you have a bad pain or you are in bliss, the moment you sleep, everybody deep sleep is the same. They don't feel anything. So
Having thus realized the self to remain in the matter envelopments and their world of objects is to remain ever perfectly detached as the lotus leaf in the water. Though the lotus leaf exists only in water, draws its nourishment from the very water, and dies away in the same water, yet, during its life as a leaf, it does not allow itself to be moistened by the water. Similarly, a saint in the world, as a matter entity, draws the nourishment for his individual existence from the world of objects, but ever remains perfectly detached from his own merits and demerits, from his own concept of beauty and ugliness, from his own likes and dislikes in the outside world.
so it is telling you to rise above. When they say rise above, this is what it means. And I think this example is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And next time you see a kamal ka patta, do that experiment. Drop a water on it, see what happens. It's a lot of fun. Practical. It's like 5,000 years ago. Also, those examples are as good as now, right now.
Of the two methods by which ordinary karma can be transformed into karma yoga, we have here the technique of renouncing one's sense of agency in one's actions exhaustively described. This is no strange theory, nor is it a unique doctrine. At every moment, all around the world, we see this enacted in a thousand ways. A doctor's attachment to his wife makes him incapacitated to perform an operation on her, although the same doctor on the same day may perform the same operation upon another patient, towards whom he has no self-deluding attachment. When an ambassador from one country to another, even if he is a shy, retreating coward in the presence of a mighty monarchs in foreign lands, reaches the court of another nation or country as a representative of his national government, he comes to outshine himself. If a man were to act as a representative of the infinite and the eternal, he would discover in himself mightier possibilities and greater effectiveness, which are all wasted and squandered today by his misconception of the finite ego as himself.
When I was reading this, there are some saints and sages who accomplish like tremendous amount of thing that it is sometimes hard for a individual. How can they do that? But when somebody connects to the higher, all of a sudden, like I think it was Swami, not Swami, Baba Ramdev used to say that sabhi ke haath tumhare haath ban jate hain. That's how he explained. Because, like there is oneness, right? Bhagwan is everywhere. So when you have a good cause and you are doing Bhagwan's work, all of a sudden log jut jate hain usse. And like I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm sure a lot of you listen to Sadhguru. So he said that when he realized that, in India the rivers were, सूख रही थी वगैरह बुरी तरह, and he said I want to plant this many trees, and did you guys hear that? So he said uske jo worker volunteers बोले, Sadhguru, that's impossible, how can we do that? And he said, why not? If each person does one tree, काम हो गया. Right, so when they started the thing, doubled, I don't know number, but much higher number was accomplished even before, because everybody's hand became, and all he said, what he did was he took a group of people, his devotees, and he had them meditate in really hot sun. एक पेड़ था, उससे दूर करके उसको हॉट सन में सबको बिठा दिया, और दे स्टार्टेड मेडिटेटिंग ओवर देयर. तो थोड़ी देर में सबको बुरा हाल हो गया, प्यास लगने लगी, पसीना आने लगा, और सब बोले थे, व्हाट आर यू डूइंग सदगुरु, वी वांट टू गो अंडर दैट ट्री. फिर जब इनका हाल एकदम बुरा हो गया, फिर उनको वो ट्री के नीचे लेके गए, हाँ, और बोला कि देखो, अभी उनको एकदम शांति मिली ट्री के नीचे आते ही, एंड ठंडी हवा, ये वो, से देखा ट्री का how much importance it is there. And then he also said that half of your lungs are hanging on that tree, because if they don't give you back oxygen, we all will die, Yeah. So he's saying that they got so charged up, oh my God, now they really understood. So their way of thinking is so different. But it was a noble thing. It's connected with the higher, and he got it done. That's exactly what happens. I thought it was a great story. Somebody was interviewing him, and he told this story. He said, how did you accomplish what you did? So he said, this is how I did it. Any other?
It's so good. I mean, I like that. If you can be representative of the infinite, that is, that's beautiful. It's not just, then you're working, because you're not working for yourself.
Right.
The ego's,
Yeah.
Then you work.
Yeah. And I saw 2 documentaries, and I'm going to forward that to all of you. One is, I think it's this gentleman named Attenborough. Anybody heard of him? Attenborough he used to be like a nature journalist from England. And he, from very young age, he was given the job to go to all the Amazon jungle and this and that. So he just started doing it like that. But then over the years, he's a very old man now, and he made this documentary which won the award, and he found out the changes firsthand. He saw the changes, that how we are plundering the earth. All the wildlife was going away. Places were becoming like nirjan ban rahe the sab. And he's saying that people sitting in their homes don't realize it, but we are slowly killing ourselves. Basically, because the carbon dioxide is so much higher in the atmosphere right now, and it will come to a point that plants and all things will start dying, like क्या बोलते हैं, some कीट पतंगे जिसको बोलते हैं ना, they are essential for our survival, and उनकी सबकी मात्रा कम होती जा रही है. So the individual countries and all are not thinking like that. So you need like a global thinkers, and the saints and sages and these kind of scientists are global thinkers. People only think about their family, their job, their this thing, but they forget that we are all connected. And he was just reminding that we are going to be leaving horrible place for our grandchildren if we, and a lot of us have grandchildren now, and we don't want to do that. So it was such an eye opener, and then that tells you that on individual level what you can do. Because we cannot go and suddenly change everybody, but at least if everybody is aware of it, in individual level, if everybody, like what Sadhguru was saying, he reversed that thing in one of the states. I think it was Tamil Nadu probably, that he planted that many trees, or Kerala, I don't know, one of the states. He planted so many trees that the thing started reversing. And then in this pandemic, we saw that सबको घर में बिठा दिया ना, तो all the wildlife started, उनका कितना, all of them were thriving,
right,
all of a sudden. So it can be done. Yeah, interesting. So any other comment or any other question? Anilji.
I think about Mahatma Gandhi a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How when he was getting himself ready for the satyagraha, he started cleaning latrines
Yes.
to kill his ego totally. And his wife objected. She said, okay, the best I can do is clean my own latrine.
Mm-hmm.
I will not clean anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying, either you will do it for everybody or you will not do it at all.
Ah, interesting. Mm-hmm.
So he totally demolished the ego, and that's how he was able to basically take the country back from the British,
Yeah, it was just a one little man, but उन्होंने जो सत्याग्रह वगैरह शुरू किया, and that's the same principle, because he was
Right.
he was studying Bhagavad Gita, and he was following those principles. And in fact वो स्वामी जी की बुक है ना, होली भगवत गीता, उसमें शुरू में है गांधी जी का भी. And he said that anytime he got very disturbed in his life, he opened Bhagavad Gita, read few verses, and gave him solace. He's saying that it is like my mother. हम लोग कुछ भी होता है तो in our younger days, abhi I don't, my mother is no more there, but even when she till the last minute, you always call your mom, right? When you feel in distress. So he said कि जो worldly mother है वो तो she is made of Panch Mahabhut, she's going to go, but the Bhagavad Gita will remain. So use it as a mother, go to it, it will give you the answer, because that's what it is exactly, that they actually experimented with these principles, and their experiment became successful. Yeah, you're right. Okay, anybody else want to share anything? Okay, then I will close Bhagavad Gita here. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. हरिः ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः. ओम शांति शांति शांतिः. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. So we just finished that last verse, which was very interesting word, which said the Brahmanas and Kshatriya are like cooked rice, and the death is like a chutney or side dish and all that, because basically telling you that the Brahman, everything comes from Brahman and everything merges into it. If you can just remember that's a good part of it. So now in this section 3, the famous analogy of or metaphor or about that we have talked many times in our class about the chariot and our body and atma, and that lagam and all of the reins are like the mind and all the whole thing, and the 5 horses are like senses, and all that is going to come. But before he got into that, he introduces the subject by telling us the basic principles, so that we will understand that. So that the first verse is introducing that subject. So keeping that in mind, we just kind of summarize a little bit what has happened in the past. So in the first section of the Valli, or Valli 1 of chapter 1, basically the theme of self-knowledge was introduced. Very briefly, but very clearly. So like Tejo Menon ji said, the brevity and the clarity, both were there in there, But there are many aspects of this knowledge, because people have different minds and different approach and all that. So you need more elaboration, because seekers usually struggle with this problem or that problem and all. And usually the Upanishad try to cover all different types of people. That's our hallmark of our Sanatan Dharma. It is not like one size fits all. It doesn't work that way. It gives you all different angles, different way to approach it, So what Tejamanand is very funny. He said, I'm going to tell you something. You may want to believe it or not. That's up to you. But Nachiketa and Yamraj, because they were together, like at the same place. He's saying every morning or evening, whatever you can pick the day, they used to have discussions. जैसे कोई कॉन्फ्रेंस में जाता है ना, आप लोग सब प्रोफेशनल वो कॉन्फ्रेंस में जाते हैं तो पहले तो मेन सेक्शन होता है, सारी लेक्चर वेक्चर सुनो, फिर वो चाय और कॉफ़ी पे बैठ के खूब वैसा ही डिस्कशन होता है, and then new ideas come and people just, so they were discussing all different type of thing, and उसमें से ये सब भी जो भी इस सेक्शन में है, the extra discussions are coming, so and then other thing that in the third Valli, that beautiful points are going to come out. And then in the past we saw that he was talking about the two paths, Shreyas and Preyas, and Vidya and Avidya. So Shreyas is when you want to go to the spiritual path. Preyas is when I just want to satisfy my senses, or just go kamao some punya and go to Swargaloka and all that. But Shreyas is that I want the highest. So all those things that it was discussed. And then, so here in this verse, he's introducing the subject. So there are a couple of, let me do the verse and then some words, and then it will see what it means. So the verse is, Ritam pibanto sukrutasya loke, kuham pravishto parame parardhe, chaya tapo brahma vido vadanti, panchagnayo yecha trina chiketa. So we'll understand few words when I'm doing the Sanskrit, what it means, and then it will open up when we do the whole meaning. So Ritam over here is fruits. Ritam is also called truth, and I will elaborate a little bit more. Pibanto is enjoying. Pibanto actually pina bolte hain. But so Tejamanand is very funny. He's saying, don't take this otherwise, drinking alcohol. No, that's not what Pibanto means. That word is used for enjoying. Sukrutasya, of the good deeds. Khud ka kiya hua acha kaam. That's what it means. Your own actions. Loke is in the world. Guham, in the cavity of the heart. This term has come many times. That Atma Tattva resides in the cavity of your own heart, kind of thing. In some other verses it's mentioned. Pravishto, being seated. Parame is the supreme. Parardhe is abode of Brahman. And there are, some people give different meanings, but it points to the same direction. That's the main thing. Chaya tapo. This is a very important word here. Shadow and light. And the relationship of shadow and light that we have discussed. That the light can live independently without the shadow, but the shadow cannot be without the light. See, the relationship is how scientific it is. Brahma Vida, the knowers of the Brahman. Vadanti is call them. Panch Agnayo, the performers of fivefold fire. So these are the people who do karma kanda thing, like ye yagna kiya to ye phal milega vagara us type ka. Swarg lok milega and all that. Ye cha is as also Trinachiketaha, those who have propitiated 3 times the Nachiketa fire. Remember, he gave him the boon, and Nachiketa was a very smart kid. He knew that everybody is not going to go for Brahma Vidya directly, and there are people who would want to go to Swargalok and all that. How to get there? So he said, I bless you with this. Isko pura method bataya ki kaise jane. That is Nachiketa fire. So, what are they seeing over here? So, let's see. The Ritam, now the word. So, Ritam actually means, I'll go to Ritam later on. Let's look at these 2 entities, what they're talking about. So, they are saying that there are 2 entities. And then what are they doing? They are drinking. But drinking means enjoying, like I said. They are enjoying the Ritam. That's how it's going. So Ritam means, Tejo Mahanji said there's another meaning of the word Ritam means Satyam. the truth. Where is it? Now this is a subtle subject, so thoda sa we have to all put our thinking hat over here. What is the truth? So he said, in the world, karma phal is the truth. जो काम हमने किया है उसका रिजल्ट सभी को आएगा ही आएगा और हमें भोगना तो पड़ेगा ही, चाहे तुम भगवान को मानो चाहे नहीं मानो. Everybody agrees that, people say, oh, I don't believe in theory of karma. Hello, whether you believe it or not, it's going to come. Like that's what it is. So that's why it's called the truth. So we know that as you reap, as you sow, so shall you reap. This is how this law of karma is, and that is called ritam. But here is saying that sukruta means actually good deeds. It's just a way of saying, because when we are explaining something, we don't want to go into the bad part of it. But the truth is, अच्छा काम करके तो अच्छा फल मिलेगा, बुरा काम करके तो बुरा करेगा. बट यहाँ पर समझाने के लिए सिर्फ ये बोला है, अच्छा काम enjoy कर रहे हैं two entities. Basically, that's what they're saying, and we're going to see who those two entities are. And another word of sukrut, even though it says good deeds, what Shankaracharya explained is deed done by oneself. That is a more important thing. जो मैंने किया है उसका फल मैं भोगूंगी. Go back to like good or bad doesn't matter. That is, I'm going to do it. Now come back to the two entities. So यहाँ पर उन्होंने बोला है कि two entities are enjoying this. This is a very subtle subject, so we cannot take this as a literal meaning. Okay? These two entities धूप छाँव की तरह ये entities है. तो एक है वो ब्रह्मन और एक है जीव. They are pointing the two entities as Brahman and Jeev. And according to this, both are enjoying the karma phal. But he said, he brought everybody's attention to Mundaka Upanishad, which we have not done yet, but I don't know if you guys have heard this metaphor from there, that they describe the Brahman and Jiva. Everybody understand what Jiva is, right? Jiva is that us, ego personality, with the Panch Mahabhut and all that, Prakriti ke saath jo hum jud gaye hain, that is Jiva. So he's saying that in Mundaka Upanishad, the analogy is, there is a tree and there are two birds sitting over there. I don't know. I think Meena ji might know this, right? I don't know if others have heard this. So two birds are sitting. One is represented of that witness, what Meena ji always talks about. The witness is that Brahman. Just watching, not getting involved. The other one, the Jiva, what does it do? It picks on the fruit. So कोई fruit खाएगा तो वो मीठा लगेगा तो बहुत खुश हो जाता है वो, ha. Then he eats another fruit which is like really khatta and bad, and then he makes a face and he's kind of suffering the joys and sorrows of life. So our goal is to become that witness bird. That's what the whole idea in this mundak is. But यहाँ पर they are saying that there are two entities which are Brahman and Jeev, and both are enjoying this fruit. Why is he saying that? Because he said, this is very interesting. He said, in Vedanta it's called Chhatri Nyaya. Chhatri means एक छतरी होती है ना. So this is what he said. Suppose a group of people are going, और 5-6 लोगों ने छतरी पकड़ रखी है. सभी ने नहीं पकड़ी, हाँ. बाकी लोग उसके नीचे होंगे, पर पकड़ी सिर्फ थोड़े लोगों ने ही है. पर हम लोग दूर से देखते हैं तो क्या बोलते हैं? छतरी वाले लोग जा रहे हैं. We don't separate them. Is that true? And then he gave another example. He's saying, समझो 2 जन बैठ के चाय पी रहे हैं दूर, पर असल में ना there are समझो सोहन and मोहन. He said, सोहन चाय पी रहा है, मोहन उसके बगल में बैठ के बातें कर रहा है उससे. हमने दूर से देखा तो हम लोग, वो लोग बोलेंगे क्या कर रहे हैं? वो लोग चाय पी रहे हैं जी. One is not even drinking. That's called Chhatri Nyaya, means as though it is there. So then he's saying that the problem with Jiva and Brahman is they are so much together that एक करता है तो लगता है दूसरा कर रहा है. That's why we get into problem also. तभी लगता है ना कि मुझे पेन हो रहा है because I forget that I am that Brahman. पेन बॉडी को हो रहा है, मुझे नहीं हो रहा है because I am separate from it. But this is how I feel. That's why they mentioned that, both of them are dreaming. Does that make sense? Because in Vedanta, this is a very important point. You cannot take anything on face value. You got to go deeper, the meaning. Shankaracharya and all that, they explained everything. So now coming back to the two entities, he said that we have learned in Bhagavad Gita also, and here also we learned that Brahman doesn't do anything. It's just an illuminating factor. But without Brahman, the other one cannot survive. That's why it says Chaya Tapo. These entities are like light and shadow. That Brahman is light and the Jiva is the shadow. The Brahman can be without the shadow, but the shadow cannot be without the light. Anybody has any doubt about that? For the shadow to appear, light has to be there. But if there is no object, there won't be any shadow. That's why I think that, you can see that we had gone to this Joshua tree. That's why I changed this to today, because I was gone for 3 days. And वहाँ से stars वगैरह बहुत दिखते हैं. And there was, my son is a little bit into all this. So he was showing me one star. He said that's the Andromeda, galaxy, closest galaxy to us, but it is still, I don't know how many light years, billion light years away or some ridiculous thing. I don't even know the numbers. It looking like one dot, but there are trillion stars in it. So when you see it from the telescope, it will look like a disk, with like this. But what I was trying to say, there is no obstruction between me and there. That's why I can see it. There's no shadow of any moon बीच में आ गया या कुछ और बीच में आ गया. There's nothing. So light can be without any shadow. So anybody has any confusion about this concept? Because this is very important. Everybody understood, right? Okay. So he's saying that basically it is just our act is getting superimposed. And we have this concept, we have done many different ways in Bhagavad Gita also. And then there is a word over here, Guham Pravishto. That means these two entities are seated in the cave of the heart bolo, cave of the buddhi bolo, both terms are used. And then we have discussed that that's where you experience the final experience when it does happen of Brahman. It will happen in the cave of the heart. And Chinmayananji's example is the best one, that the government power is everywhere. Say in United States, everywhere. But if I want to meet with the president or some big official, I'll have to go to DC in their office over there. I cannot say the power is here. I cannot say, oh, suddenly I can meet. The same way he's saying that Brahman's power is everywhere, but it is experienced only in the cave of your heart. That's how we have to, this thing has come. And in that cave of the heart, the Jiva and the Paramatma both are together in a sense. एक light है और एक उसकी छाया है, वो बगल बगल में ही है. If you think about it, छाया कहाँ होती है? जहाँ light होती है वहीं होगी ना. Right there is the chaya, but the chaya forgets that light is there. And to me, the other example is rope and the snake. We have discussed it, that if there is a rope and the snake will be where the rope is. अगर rope वहाँ पे है तो मुझे snake opposite direction में नहीं दिखाई दे सकता. Everybody agrees? Same way, Paramatma is there, and जहाँ मैं जीवाहुड feel कर रही हूँ, जहाँ मैं ये ego feel कर रही हूँ अपने अंदर, वहीं पर परमात्मा है. पर वो मुझे परमात्मा नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है, ईगो दिखाई दे रहा है. That's the point they're trying to make over here by this. It's a little bit difficult, but I think I see people nodding their heads. That means they're understanding what they're, because we have done a lot of this now in Bhagavad Gita also. So even though we have learned that, that you call those verses, namriyate na jayate, means the atma is not born, doesn't die, and it is सबसे बड़ी से बड़ी है, महतो मह्यम, अनुनोरणीयम, and all those words, कि it is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, and all that, and nothing happens to it. But here, because they are so much together, it appears as though they are together. And he's saying that the people who are knowers of this self, Brahma Vido Vadanti, people who are knowers of the Brahman also believe that there are two entities, Chaya and light ki tarah, Brahma and Jiva. And those people who have not reached that high status and that who believe in this Panchagni. Panchagni is, jo people jo havan वगैरह करते हैं, want to go to स्वर्गलोक. And जो नचिकेता अग्नि 3 बार जिन्होंने की है, they are slightly at a different level. They have not gone as far as knowers of Brahman. But I think Kamala ji came on, but she needs to mute. So he's saying that they also believe in the two entity. Okay, and how do they believe in two entity? Because there is you do karma, and then there is a karma phal data, giver of the result. So that also two entities ho gaya. Okay, they both believe that this body is not the only thing. Okay, they have uske beyond body ke kya hota hai, that may be a difference in opinion yet with them. They have not reached at the highest level, but at least they believe this much ki, Chaya or Prakash hai, meaning two different entities are there. So they are kind of including the other group of people also. Or maybe the way we can look at it is they are looking at all stages of spiritual evolvement. This verse applies to all stages of spiritual evolvement. Even if you are not all the way there, still you accept the fact that you are not just the body. There is something beyond it also. That's how they have introduced this concept of Jiva and Atma in here. Did everybody get like the basic idea over here? Because Tejomayananji also said this, that right here also we can experience a little bit if we think about it, the two entities. How? He's saying that we are getting different thoughts in our head, right? And we are conscious of that thought. That is the illuminating factor. So one is a thought and one is, I understand that thought, that is the Brahman, because of which I become conscious of my thought. So that's why there are two entities. I want somebody to speak something, because this is like a little bit, I'm not sure that if I gave the message correctly of this verse. Maybe if you have a comment.
Yes, you did. Umaji, I'm listening in.
Okay, Meeraj, because sometimes I didn't know if you were on or not, because you said just iPhone. So Meeraj, you were there, okay.
Yeah, I was there the whole time. So yes, I was listening and it became very clear.
Okay.
It has become very clear. So What you are saying is making a lot of sense, at least to me.
Okay, thank you. That gave me some encouragement. Okay. So are you like, would you like to read, Meeraji?
Would I'll pass today.
Okay.
And yeah, thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
I
No
would have
problem. I
loved
think
to, but
Shireen
yeah.
can read then, right? Shireen, you have this?
Yeah, I have it. And I understood it, yeah.
You did? Thank you.
We are two in one.
Very good. Excellent. I love the way you said it.
I like to say short words,
Buy one, get one free.
Yes. Okay. The two who enjoy the fruits of their good works, being seated in the cavity of the heart, the seat of the Supreme, the knowers of Brahman, call them shadow and light, as also the performance of the fivefold fire, and those who have propitiated the 3 times the Nachiketa fire.
So here, see how he's saying that the seat of Supreme, the knowers of the Brahman, call them shadow and light, also the performers of the 5 yagna, fold fire, and the 3 time Nachiketa fire. So जो लोग यज्ञ यागा करते हैं वो लोग भी मानते हैं. That's what he's saying.
In this section, we have the famous and immortal metaphor of the chariot explaining the Atma and the body. In the chariot sits the driver and the owner. In the body stays the Paramatma, the self, and the Jivatma, the ego, and the entire technique of the Adhyatma yoga is explained.
Okay.
To introduce these 2 factors, the Atma self and the Jiva ego, we have here in the very opening stanza of this Vali, a declaration unanimously made by all the realized sense of knowledge and endorsed by the faithful householder Panditas. All of them declare that though the body seems to be controlled and directed by these 2 factors, one of them is but the shadow, replica of the other.
Yeah, so now this is what he's saying, that whether you are the highest level or at not the highest level, both of them admit that there are, one is a replica of other. And that's why, when we were discussing earlier in Bhagavad Gita, Anilji, we were discussing, that this world is like a dream bola. ना हमने वहाँ dream बोला, यहाँ पर shadow बोला है. But it's the same thing. Shadow is not the main entity. That's all we have to
know. But shadow is not clear either. There's no details in it.
But you can look at it as a mirror image.
That's why they think it's shadow, because there's nothing.
I know, but it's like shadow is. They use different examples. That's at different times. If the reflection in the mirror connects with you more, you can say that. It's the same thing. Yeah.
The shadow or reflection has no independent existence of its own. It exists only with reference to the light or the illumined object. Desire-prompted thoughts rise and fall in waves eternally in their own rhyme and rhythm in the mental lake of an uncultured animal man. This mad death dance of the rumbling thought waves, kicking about their pranks in front of the wisdom light in us, naturally throws in front of the mind a composite shadow form, ever trembling and changing.
So basically, our mind can change this. And, look at it this way. Even if we all in this class, we are 15 of us, if we look at one object, everybody's going to look at it through their own mind. कितना difference है, कोई फूल को देखेगा तो किसी को उसकी सुगंध दिखाई, मतलब सूंघेगा वो, कोई उसका रंग देखेगा, और कोई साइंटिस्ट आ गया तो कुछ और ही देखेगा वहाँ पर. So many different ways you can see things.
The individual in his extrovertedness, gazing on outwardly, views the shadow and identifies himself with it. The shadow represents the I, ego, the samsarin, who suffers the mortal agonies of the physical pains, mental tortures, intellectual failures, and spiritual bankruptcy. This shadow is called the Jivatma, and the light that causes it, the I, ego, the God principle in us, is called the Paramatma.
So you see that when Swamiji used the I ego earlier, he put a small I. And the next time when he put I, he put a capital I. So basically that ego remaining the same, either I think that I am this small I or, I am this Atma. You can look at it that way. Ritam. Yeah. Ritam.
Ritam as a noun, it is one of the most significant words in the Vedas and means a little more than mere righteousness. It's something like divine law that connects actions and their fruits.
That's why I was giving that explanation that Ritam means actually Satyam or truth, and truth is Karma Phala is a truth in a sense. We all have to face it. So this word is again just like Dharma word or Shraddha word and all, it has a big scope, but the basic idea is that, divine law that connects action and their fruit. That's a great way he explained it.
The fruits of actions are enjoyed only by the individual soul, Jivatma, and the I ego. Dual number is used here instead of the singular. Hence, the Shruti statement comes to indicate that both the Supreme Soul and the individual soul are partners in enjoying the fruits of actions. This should not be understood in its literal word meaning, for Shruti would be thereby contradicting herself. Her incessant declaration often and always maintain that the eternal all-full Atma is neither a doer nor an enjoyer. He alone is the eliminator of all doings and enjoyments.
Read the next paragraph then. I already explained the whole thing, that even we should not take the word meaning and why it's going to say the same, what I explained. And yet, go ahead.
And yet, there is in the mantra the usage of the dual number when it says the two enjoy the fruits of their good deeds. This difficulty is solved by Sri Shankaracharya in his commentary. He says that the shadow I ego has no existence at all without the presence of the light principle in the I ego, and so they are coupled together in a general way. Example of this type of coupling are also seen often in a day-to-day transactions in life. When a crowd of people are moving on, and although there are some among them who have no umbrellas nor khadi caps, we in our general conversations indicate them all together collectively as the umbrella carriers, the congressmen.
I mean, he's just giving an example of, the politician. But basically, as I told you, that there are a group of people going, some have, some don't, and we put them all bunched together. दूर से ऐसा दिखाई देता है कि साथ में है सब.
In similar sense, because the seeming coexistence of the Jivatma and the Paramatma, the false I and the real I, the delusory enjoyment of the fruits of actions, which is the lot of the Jivatma, is coupled with the witnessing eternal light of intelligence, the Paramatma. This is more clearly brought out in Mandukya Upanishad.
It's a Mundaka actually. One is Mandukya, this is a different one called Mundaka. Mundaka, okay. And the two birds that I was talking about, that example, उसमें clearly बताया गया separation. That one bird is a witness, other one is eating fruits.
Both of them are explained here to be seated in the cavity of the heart where intelligence resides. This idea of the intelligence being in the heart space has been repeated before so often that we need not pause here and anymore to discuss it in detail.
So he was talking about the spiritual heart, right? Where the emotions and intellect meet, and that's where all the good things bubble up, all the compassion and love and all those feelings that we feel, that is our spiritual heart actually. So that's where you experience that Brahman. Okay, last paragraph is there in you? One more or not?
No, I read the last one.
Okay, so I don't know, there is one more paragraph. So it is interesting to note that Kathoupanishad, while glorifying the path of meditation, is not against the life of householders. They too can gain an insight, a vision of the real, the truth. And the reason Swamiji added that, because it is mentioned, that the performance of the five-fold fire and 3 times in the Chiketa fire means either you take the direct route or you take that other one. Vedanta accepts both. So, yeah. Any comment, question? Anybody wants to add anything? But I think the main idea is that what we already kind of learned in Bhagavad Gita, that there is a Jiva and there is a Paramatma, or Atman, or Brahman, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And our journey is that from Jivatma to realize that Paramatma. That's all it is. They are just telling you different ways.
Yeah.
It seems simple, but in the end, it takes a lot of contemplation and all that. Okay, so I'll close the class here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.